Hello, everyone. It's September the 11th, a day that we will never, ever, ever forget. A day that really and truly, no matter where you were, whether you were driving or at home with your children or wherever you were, I'm sure that when you saw and heard the towers coming down and the bravery of the people on the airliner that, fell into the field in Pennsylvania. But absolutely, those folks kept that plane from another horrific attack on us. Or whether it was the Pentagon or whatever, the attack on America was really profound. With all that being said, it's been 23 years, hasn't it? 23 years, and it seems like as time goes by, we can forget. But absolutely, we should never forget the images in our minds of seeing all those folks leap to their death because the fires were unbelievable in their offices. We absolutely saw those towers collapse, and we saw first responders running to the fire. We lost all kinds of them, did we not? Absolutely, those families are still hurting today, and we should always remember, we should always keep those folks in our prayers. Absolutely, with all being said, don't forget that. Don't forget today, September the 11th, a lot like today, blue sky, an absolutely beautiful day. And absolutely, with all in us, it changed just like that. A day that we will never, ever forget. And I plead with you to never forget it. Never. So with all that being said, we absolutely need to always say prayers for America, for those families, for those people we lost, for those people that suffered with chronic illnesses for years and years after trying to do everything they could to save people. We lost so many. We should never, ever forget. God bless this incredible country. It's the envy of the world, and jealousy and envy can absolutely play horrible roles. The envy of the world, the beacon, we want to always remain just that. But with all that being said, please, please, please never forget. Never, ever, ever forget. I think Randall is going to be with us, right now, and at least I thought he was, but now I see that he's not available and everything. But so I want to read to you just a little bit here and everything, because I'm not terrifically versed on this. But on September the 11th, our country reflects on the heroes and patriots who serve and protect us, honoring their sacrifices through acts of service. In West Virginia, we continue this tradition by supporting projects that engage local volunteers, honor veterans, and preserve our history. I'm happy to announce that we have distributed 3 grants for these projects. One of the grants is our September 11th Day of Service grant, which will be honoring our amazing veterans. It's $29,599. We have $86,535 that's awarded on this day of service and remembrance as cemetery grants for cemetery preservation across the state. And finally, $104,519 was delivered to Volunteer West Virginia to help get some of these projects accomplished and across the finish line. And again, I want to thank everyone for not forgetting. And thanks, Randall, for stepping up and helping out and doing all the great things that we do with our arts. But thank you so much. We announced that we're going to have a special session. It's going to begin on Monday, September the 30th. The primary reason for this is just this. I promised you, didn't I? I told you. I've always kept my word, and I've told you exactly what I think we should do. I'm very, very hopeful that we can get an additional tax cut to our people, at least an additional 5%, and I think really the 5% is just, to be perfectly honest, if we can't find a little over $100 million with all the surpluses and all the things that we got going on and return it to the great people of West Virginia, the Toby and the Ediths out there that are fighting this terrible inflation, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's flat unbelievable. I mean, all you've got to do, all in the world you got to do, if you can afford to do it, is go through a drive-through window and absolutely get your order, and maybe it's for you and your wife or whomever it may be, and all of a sudden it comes back and you are astounded with what stuff costs. Go to the grocery store. Go to the grocery store and pick up a pound of bacon. It is unbelievable what stuff costs right now. And we all believe that it's driven by energy prices in lots of ways. Well, for crying out loud, why don't we have a national energy policy? Why are we not leading the world in energy? Why do we not have the cheapest of the cheapest of the cheapest right here? And it blows me away. But with all that being said, we need to give back to our people. Now's our time to step up and give back, and nobody will ever convince me in 10 million years that if we absolutely continue on an aggressive pathway to getting rid of our personal income tax, more and more and more goodness will come to West Virginia. You got people out there that says, well, let's wait. Let's wait another 6 months or whatever it may be. Look, I'm only here for another 3 or 4 months, but I want to run through the finish line. We could just coast along and say, yeah, look what good we did. We had the biggest tax cut in history, 21% to all you folks out there, 21.25%. And then we got another 4% when we triggered. Yay, yay, yay. Why do more? And absolutely, I'm going to run through the finish line, and I'm going to fight for you each and every day. If this blows up and everything, it's not on me. It's really and truly on our legislature. They need to step up and help right now. And I think that they will. I really do. I put in some stuff in regard to child care, and we haven't finalized everything. We're working with the leadership, but we'll start on September the 30th, and if it blows up, well, it blows up. But I'm going to try with all in me, and that's what I've done since day one, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Chelsea Ruby's with us, but Secretary Ruby has done an unbelievable job in regard to tourism. The numbers are flat out off the chart. Can you imagine in 2023, last year we had over 75 million visitors that explored the beauty of West Virginia, and it is unflat believable. 75 million visitors last year that contributed $8.7 billion in total economic impact. So Chelsea has done a fabulous job. We've worked arm in arm, and absolutely I couldn't be more proud of her, and it's been a real partnership, and she's a superstar in every way, and what's going on in West Virginia as far as tourism is off the chart. And we started, and we were kind of in the dumps, or really in the dumps, and you see what's happened. And so Chelsea, come on and tell us all the good stuff, and we're really, really proud of you.
Good morning, Governor. Thanks for having me. Yesterday was an exciting day. We had over 400 industry members here in Charleston for the Governor's Conference on Tourism. It was the biggest crowd we've ever had. We have over 100 new members, so new people in this industry who are opening hotels, attractions, working for convention and visitors bureaus. While they were here, we went through new economic impact data. So we had Adam Sachs, who is the president of Tourism Economics, which is a division of Oxford Economics, who was here and went through those numbers. And Governor, if you'll allow me, I want to walk through some of the highlights of that report. The report's on our website, but there's some incredible data in it. So the first one is that there were 75 million people who visited the tourism industry in West Virginia last year. And those folks aren't just congregated in certain regions. We saw growth in all 9 of our travel regions. Those 75 million people contributed, directly spent more than $6 billion. It was actually $6.3 billion last year. So what we're seeing is we have more people coming in and they're spending more money. The industry itself generated more than $1 billion in taxes. It was the first year we've topped $1 billion. And if you think about that in terms of what that's doing for our economy here in West Virginia, it's an incredible number. It's also supporting jobs all across the state. So we're up to over 60,000 jobs, and those 60,000 jobs are paying more than $2 billion annually in earnings. So if you look at what is the overall impact, so you take the $6.3 billion in direct spending, and you take the jobs and the spending from the people who work in that industry, the overall impact to the state is $8.7 billion. This is the highest in the state's history, and this is a number that we're really, really proud of. So that's lots of big numbers, and I know every industry has numbers, so I like to boil that down and put that into context. So if you look at those numbers, what it equates to is $17 million a day spent in West Virginia on average. So 365 days a year, there are visitors traveling all across the state, and they spend $17 million. If you take that $2.1 billion in annual earnings, and you divide it up among all the households in West Virginia, that's about $2,900 per household. So these are good paying jobs, and they're contributing significantly to our economy. If you think about all the jobs in West Virginia, and then you think about the ones supported by the tourism industry, we find that 1 in 15 jobs in the state is supported by the industry. So those are all great numbers for West Virginia and contribute significantly to West Virginia's economy. But I also want to put it in context of the larger United States economy. So in the tourism industry, we compare everything back to 2019. We all look at pre-pandemic. How were we doing right before the pandemic? And Governor, as you remember, 2019 was our highest ever year on record. So if you look at West Virginia's spending today and compare it to 2019, we're up 23%. If you look at the United States as a whole and compare it to 2019, the U.S. is only up 9%. So to put that in perspective, we're outpacing the U.S. rate of growth by nearly 2.5 times. The other thing that I'll do to put it in perspective is go back and look at the numbers when Governor Justice took office. The annual traveler spending, direct spending, no economic impacts, nothing, the actual dollars being spent in this state annually are now nearly $2 billion more than they were when we started. So those are some pretty impressive numbers. Because of this last night, we also recognized Governor Justice with a Lifetime Achievement Award. The West Virginia tourism industry has never had a champion for tourism like Governor Justice. The governor has supported the industry like no one ever has before. The governor has invested in the industry like never before, and he's delivered for the industry. So even though he has 1,000 things to do, as he said in his opening remarks, he stays really involved with this. He knows every ad that's going out. He's constantly looking at performance, helping me manage that and monitor that. So I want to thank the governor for this. I want to thank him for helping lead us in the direction and taking West Virginia to a level that we never even dreamed of. So it was an honor last night to give him that Lifetime Achievement Award. And Governor, again, I want to say thank you. I don't think the industry ever imagined the changes that were on the horizon. And as you said last night to them, I think we're just getting started. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, Chelsea, bring tears to my eyes because what an incredible run we've had, and we want to keep it going in West Virginia. We're really proud, and you know, it's been like I said, it's been a great partnership with you and all your folks, and what leadership you've brought to the table is off the chart, and I could not possibly be more proud of you and all those, and And the bottom line is just how we've awakened a potential giant that we should have known so often. We should have known that what we had, and we just wouldn't give it up. That's all there is to it. You know, it was either DOA or surely in tough shape at the hospital, or forgotten. You know, but we have awakened this unbelievable potential, this unbelievable goodness that absolutely is showing off our state and bringing so much happiness and goodness to so many. I mean, you just think 60,000 people working in tourism, absolutely the 75 million visitors and billions of dollars flowing in, and it can only get better. And so great work. I'm really proud of all of you, and God bless each and every one of you. We've had a lot of fun, and let's keep going. We've still got a little bit of time left. Let's keep on going. But thank you again. Okay, we've got Secretary Bailey with us today, and James is going to tell us some good stuff that Chef Paul is working on in West Virginia. You know, Prep to Serve Appalachia, you know, is a really neat thing that we're getting ready to do. But it's a fine dining certification program right here in West Virginia, and Secretary Bailey, come and tell us more about this, James.
Justice, it's an honor to tell everybody today about what you mentioned, the Prep to Serve Appalachia program, which is a partnership between the Department of Commerce, West Virginia Health Right, and West Virginia's very own Chef Paul Smith. Chef Paul is going to serve as the lead instructor for this program. He was recently named as a distinguished West Virginian by Governor Justice. And is an acclaimed culinary expert with decades of experience, and recently became West Virginia's first ever award recipient of the James Beard Award. We are doing it. The program will feature an accelerated 3-month fine dining worker certification program. It's designed to train West Virginians for front of house and food prep positions in fine dining restaurants. It will feature 10 West Virginians every quarter, so 40 per year, being trained directly from Chef Paul. Where this is being done with West Virginia Health Right, we're also allowing participants, while they're participating in the program, to receive free medical, dental, behavioral health, recovery, and pharmacy services to ensure success in the program. It will provide true wraparound services. The classes are being conducted here in Charleston at West Virginia Health Right's fully equipped teaching kitchens. Again, as I said, it's a 3-month program. The first month of this program will be will include meeting 2 days a week and receiving direct lessons from Chef Paul in the classroom atmosphere. And then months 2 and 3 will feature on-the-job placement with direct real-world experience training. Participants will be compensated dependent on where they are located, and they will have, as they go through this process and even after they finish, participants will have follow-up meetings with Chef Paul and West Virginia Health Right to ensure that their professional growth and success is on track. The classes will begin in October. Anyone can apply. We do feel that it's particularly could be beneficial to those who are on their recovery journey. It's a terrific opportunity to help build a new career, one that will provide fulfillment and professional growth. There is absolutely no cost to participate. We are funding this through a grant from Workforce West Virginia, and all of the wraparound medical and behavioral health services are being provided through West Virginia Health Right. I want to take an opportunity to highlight a couple things. First and foremost, to thank Governor Justice for making this possible. This is just a small example of the kind of directive we've all received from him, which is to do everything we can to prepare the workforce that we need. Workforce availability is one of the largest hurdles for restaurants, particularly these independent, more fine dining restaurants throughout the state. So this is a way to both help individuals and help those small businesses. And we couldn't do it without Governor Justice's support. I also want to highlight West Virginia Health Right for making this all happen. West Virginia Health Right, they are an organization based here in Charleston that provides free comprehensive health care to low-income, uninsured, and underinsured adults in West Virginia. Angie Settle runs West Virginia Health Right and does a terrific job. They now provide their services to more than 43,000 patients across 34 counties, all people who are underinsured or underinsured, and with their services combined reach $25 million annually. They really provide the gap, services to the gap for the working poor, for the folks who may not qualify for the medical services, for folks who are in poverty and also don't have full health insurance coverage. So they do a terrific job, and this is just another service that they're providing that will be beneficial throughout the community. So I want to thank them and thank Governor Justice for making this all happen. Thank you.
James, thank you, and thank you for the great job you've done and you continue to do, and again, we're very, very, very proud. Kathy is with Communities in Schools today with their Friends with Paul's program. They're at Petersburg Elementary School, and then they're going to go from there to Davis Thomas Elementary Middle School. They have 2 dogs that they're placing. One is by the name of Joey, and the other one Prim, and these are a total now of 34 dogs that have been placed in the schools. I've said it 10 million times, but this program has been a real winner. It's Communities in Schools in West Virginia is a different animal maybe than the national program, but we have really helped a lot of kids, and it is instrumental in our schools in every way. And I'm really proud of Kathy. Kathy's worked really hard on this, and their Friends with Paul's program is just an extension of Communities in Schools, and what a job they've done. We've got to be really, really proud. Last thing I have is not good. This is really sad in every way, but we had a coal miner, Jerry Chapman, who was injured, I guess, last Friday, and he's passed away now. And it's just terrible. I mean, a lot of you don't know much about the coal mines, but I sure do, and I see how hard these people work, and I see the conditions that they work in, and we try to make it as safe as we can possibly make it all the time, and absolutely we try to make it as dust-free as we possibly can all the time, and but it's tough stuff. I mean, that's all there is to it. And these people have not only powered the nation, but they built the nation. They built the world. And what I say about that is just this, with metallurgical coal, you got to have metallurgical coal to make steel, for the most part, and all across the world. West Virginia miners have supplied that metallurgical coal, and they've supplied the thermal coal that's absolutely run our nation, and so please don't forget them. In my book, they're heroes, and every single day, and so for Gary Chapman's family and him, I think we should always keep them in prayer, and Kathy and I surely do so. And like I said, it flat hits home with me all the time because, I grew up in the mining industry and know it very well, and very, very proud of what all of us have done in the mining industry, especially our miners, and all the good work that they do. So keep Gary Chapman and his family in your prayers. Please do so. That's all I've got for right now.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now take questions from members of the media. First up today is Beth Sargent with the Gazette-Mail.
Hello, Governor. Thanks for taking my question. It's Beth from the Gazette-Mail. Hey, my question is, I just wanted to clarify on addressing childcare during the special session. You've talked about the childcare tax credit. Is that the same that, are you going to propose the same childcare tax credit that you proposed during the regular session? Have there been any modifications made to it? Can you just shed some light on that? Thank you.
Be the same one. And, I think we just kind of ran out of time, and I hope to goodness we can get this across the finish line. This doesn't seem like much of nothing to get across the finish line. And right behind that, I'm going to propose also, that there's a little tweak, that I'm going to propose with it. It's basically the creation of a new grant program and everything, and through workforce it'll be on, based on performance based, and so you'll have to kind of wait and see what that's all about and everything. But we do have a dilemma in this nation in regard to child care. We all know it, and we've got to find a way to be able to help our working families if we can. Right now we can, and so let's try to help. I mean, for crying out loud, we got to have young people, we got to have families with kids and everything, that are in the state and doing a lot of good work. And so I think child care is a real issue, and we got to try to do something about it.
Thank you, Beth. We'll now take question from Charles Young with WV News.
Young with WV News. Just kind of following up on Beth's question, Governor, do you plan to release drafts of this legislation prior to the 30th to give the rank and file lawmakers time to familiarize themselves with these proposals? Thank you.
Charles, we're working with the legislature. Sure to goodness we can get that done and get it out. I surely, my answer ought to be yes and is yes. I hope to goodness we can get that out, and the sooner the better.
Thank you, Charles. Next up is Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good morning, Governor, and staffers and fellow reporters. I want to follow up on the child care question too, Governor. The House Democrats held a news conference yesterday in Parkersburg, saying that the bill you're going to propose, the same one, is a good starting point, but it just doesn't fund enough. They noted that a family maxed out on a federal child care credit. It gets about $450 per child per year, and that you're going to do 50% of that. So that adds another $225. So we're looking at $675 subsidy for child care, or tax credit for child care. When child care is averaging $120 or $150 to $200 a week. So it's basically these tax credits would pay for about 3 weeks of child care. And they want more funding. They want you to up the ante. At the same time, the Center on Budget and Policy notes they have a new study out saying West Virginia has the lowest subsidy for child care in our 6-state region. We have a per capita payment of about $5 per person in the state to help childcare, whereas Pennsylvania has the highest in the region at $22. So what can be done? Is there a way, especially with the surplus dollars, to put more money into what you're proposing on childcare?
Mark, that's what I just said just a second ago. We do need to put some more money in, but we got to get it across the finish line, don't we, with the legislature? That's where we ran into snafu as far as just a simple tax credit, for the folks. We didn't get that passed, but what I've got is the creation of a new grant program, and we're putting some additional dollars in that, and Mark, the bottom line, the whole thing is, you're preaching to the choir with me. I know there's a problem with health care. Our nation knows there's a problem with child care, rather. And so with all that being said, the choices are real simple. Either do something about it or you don't. It's just as simple as that. To me, it's the same thing with our tax break. We can say, well, let's just defer it and kick it on down the road and everything. Why? Why would we do that? Are we doing that so somebody after me can take credit? Are we doing that because we have special projects that we want to keep the money and and then put it into our pet projects. I mean, what are we doing this for? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here and I'm telling you wholeheartedly, we need to reward our people with a bigger tax break right now. Inflation's eating us alive. We've got the money with this. It's sound and solid as it can be. Do it. Why wait? Why wait? You know, the next thing is as far as the child care, I mean, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. You know, I'm trying to create, a grant program that we can absolutely help, based on performance base and going through workforce and everything to where we just don't waste the money and throw the money away. We know what the situation is on a national basis, but there's lots of different things going on here and everything that we need to deal with. But at the end of the day, you're preaching to the choir with me. We got a problem in child care. We need to do something about it. We have an absolute opportunity to be able to reward our people with a bigger tax cut. We need to do something about it. And why wait? Why wait? All I can do is try.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Brianna Haney with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hello, Governor. Providing a tax break for families whose children are already in childcare will help those families, but it won't help families that don't currently have access to childcare because there are not enough spots. Are there any other bills aside from the child tax credit that you will ask the legislator to consider to open up more childcare spots in the state? And if so, what would those proposals look like?
And please forgive me, but sometimes, the questions are muffled and it's difficult for me to hear real well. But I've tried to tell you, 3 different times now of exactly where I stand. If we come back with, an alternative that would create additional child care facilities or whatever within the state or opportunities or whatever like that, sure, we'll look at it and everything, and I'll probably look at it very favorably. The whole child care issue, without any question, is a complex problem. There's no question about that, and there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But the way not to look at it is, don't stick it in a hole and bury it and say, well, we'll get to it later on. I mean, you got people that are really hurting. Kids back in school right now. People don't really know where to turn. Issues about people, the possibility of people would like to move to West Virginia and we're, behind the curve or whatever like that. I just don't see any reason to kick the can down the road and put this in a hole and think it's going to get better when we dig it up the next time.
Thank you, Brianna. Next up is Stephen Allen Adams with Ogden News.
Yeah, Stephen Adams, Ogden Newspapers here. Obviously, you keep referring to the available surplus, I think close to $600 million when you also factor in unappropriated monies currently sitting in the current fiscal year budget. But I get the feeling, talking to lawmakers and some of the public statements that have been said, that they are more comfortable with doing a possible 5% tax cut if an equal amount, the $115 million is cut from state spending to make that happen. So rather than using surplus one-time dollars, considering the next budget, lawmakers are going to have to factor in this 5%. Would you be willing and interested in paying for this tax cut by cutting state spending a commensurate amount? Thank you.
Stephen, absolutely. Absolutely. If they can come to me with something that they would propose that that basically cut things and everything, we'll look at it. We'll look at it. We've been talking about this since the summer, and I don't, I just, Stephen, we've been at this a long time. And literally, what we're talking about, Stephen, I'm going to miss this a little bit, but we put $400 million in basically the emergency fund. It's a rainy day fund, in regard to our personal income tax. It's earning interest, and we probably now got, $430 million in there. I would be willing to put some more money in there if we wanted to put some more money in there. Stephen, for crying out loud, we're talking about a little over $100 million here. If we take it out of surplus dollars this year, we put more money in the income tax reserve fund or whatever it may be, or we come up with something that we can actually, say, well, we cut back on this and we gave a 5% tax break to our people, so we got it all covered. Whatever the situation may be, we've been at this for a long, long time. We just can't afford, to just keep kicking the can down the road and not acting. Now, and if that's what we want to do, then that's on somebody else. That's not on me. I'm trying with all in me and everything to do exactly what I think we should do, and it's the reason we're here. We're here for Toby and Edith. We're not here for Jim Justice. We're not here for a pet project. We're not here to see who can get more fame as far as politically or whatever it may be. We're here for Toby and Edith, period. That's all there is to it. From my standpoint, Toby and Edith are really hurting with this inflation stuff, and we can do this, and we'll never even know we did it. But it will send a great signal to the world, and this is crazy. This is absolutely ridiculous. That's all there is to it.
Thank you, Stephen. Next up is Micah Leith with WOAY.
Hello, Governor. Thank you for taking my question. I want to ask you about the Welch Community Hospital potentially closing its operating room in December. The McDowell County Commission says it's been in contact with your office about the issue and that your office has instructed the hospital to continue to provide those services. I just wanted to ask, what's the state doing to make sure that operating room stays open, and what other issues is the hospital experiencing that the state's working to address? Thank you.
Listen, you know me. I don't know any way to tell you anything other than just to tell it to you just like it is. My secretary got so far out over his skis it was unbelievable. Came out with this announcement and everything. As soon as I got word about this, I said, "There's no way. There is no way. This isn't going to happen on my watch. There's no way." I go by the Welch Hospital from time to time when I'm with my son on a weekend or something like that all the time. And it's a good hospital, and it is so needed in that area. And say we're going to just stop surgeries and whatever so we can save a few bucks down in an area that we really need to be trying to help in every way. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We need to invest in our rural hospitals, and we need to they're the backbone of our communities. Do you think, in all honesty, Jim Justice is going to do this on Jim Justice's watch in McDowell County? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? It's a real screw up, by our secretary, and I don't know how in the world we came up with that, but nevertheless, we're not doing it. We're not doing that. Everybody, stand down. There's no way it's going to happen on my watch. I'll promise you that.
Thank you, Micah. Next up is Tom Sussman with WMOV Radio.
Governor, thank you for taking my question. I was at a meeting last night of probably 100 to 150 farmers up at the Jackson County Regional Livestock Market. They've been impacted by the drought. Some of the conservation districts are out of money. I know you've declared a state of emergency, but my question is, are there plans to place meaningful financial drought assistance funding on the September 30th special session call for farmers and producers? They had significant issues last night, and just wanted to see what the administration's plans were in that regard.
Well, first let me say this. when I graduated from Marshall and had my MBA of all things, then I ended up becoming a farmer. In 1977, we started our farming operation, and we grew and grew and grew, and at one point in time, we were the biggest cash grain farmers, meaning that we were growing a crop, corn, wheat, and soybeans, the biggest east of the Mississippi River at one time. You know, we absolutely are in tune with what's going on agriculturally across this state, and this dry weather has been detrimental and devastating in every way. Absolutely, I get it. I get it wholeheartedly. You know, we're trying to do what we can to help. You know, with all that being said, can we do more? Probably so. Are we working on it? Are we working on it with the commissioner and folks to be able to try to do what we can do and do more? Are there national programs that, you know, through FSA or whatever, you know, that are out there all across the board right now? Of course there are, you know, but it is a real problem. And without any question, you know, our farmers, you know, are hurting, and we all should know that. And I know it ever so well, and we're trying to figure out what we can do to help. And what we've already done is good stuff, but evidently we need to do more.
Tom, thank you. Governor, back to you.
Well, let me review real quick. You know, without question, you know, I want us to just, first of all, I don't want us to forget Gary Chapman and his family, but at the same time, it's 9/11. It's 9/11. And we saw a tragedy like we can't imagine. We saw an attack on our homeland, an attack on America like you can't imagine. It's 23 years ago, and it's easy to forget, or it's easy maybe to think it can't happen again, but it can. And absolutely, we need to remember all those we lost, all those that ran to the fire, you know, all those that suffered years and years and years with illnesses, you know, from running to the fire. So with all that being said, don't ever forget. Don't ever forget. You know, we celebrated incredible numbers as far as tourism and a lot of good stuff today. Don't forget Gary Chapman, and don't forget 9/11. God bless each and every one of you.